As a Scrum Master, we always coach our Agile team to be self-organized, self-managed. And we all know that as a team, sometimes we need something that can bind us together and also hold us accountable. And I don't think I've ever worked for any successful Agile team whereby we did not have this one thing, which is working agreement. On today's topic, my goal is to cover what is working agreement, why should we have a working agreement, and what are things we should include in our working agreement to ensure that we will have a high performing Agile team. Welcome back to Aisha Scrum. I'm very happy to have you all join my platform. For my new subscriber and my current subscribers, I appreciate you all. And by the way, thank you all for first 4,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And by the way, if you are interested in mentorship, do not hesitate to email me at admin@aishascrumtech.com. You can also check out our website online. So behind me here, I list little things that we should have in a working agreement. But by the way, what is working agreement? A working agreement is basically it's a agreement or document written. It can be anywhere in Confluence, Word document, anywhere in place that an Agile team comes together and discuss that. These are list of things we agree to have in place to ensure that we are able to work together in harmony, right? We all know that everything in life, there must be rules, right? There must be rules, and sometimes the rules can be broken, and this rule to ensure that we hold each other accountable. So that's why we have a working agreement in a team. Another important thing about working agreement is number one is to ensure that there is clarity and mutual expectation described in this working agreement. And for an Agile team to be basically self-organized, self-managed, where basically you don't have a project manager that's telling you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and when not to do anything. So we have this working agreement in place that we all will come together and basically create these rules that will be very good for our team. So that's why we have working agreement. And it's very important that working agreement is something that it's not imposed by the Scrum Master. It's a working agreement that's collaboratively created together with the team, or not a working agreement that's created by a PO or management, leadership, or any of that. If that's the case, guess what? That's not a working agreement. A working agreement is an agreement that the team will come together and discuss based on the workflow, the product they are working on, the environment they are working in, and different time zone, and everything will be addressed in this agreement. So we all can have that mutual expectation and mutual standing on what are expected from us in this agreement. And also consequences, right? If there's issues too, where we can able to address if something arises, if there's conflict, how are we going to be resolving it? How can we address all these issues? So the number one thing I have in my board here is who we are, right? So you can have a working agreement and not include who we are. And the good thing about who we are is basically you all coming together. Maybe are you in a company that your team name is even flexible, right? Where you can call yourself your Team Lion. And Team Lion, we are team that basically are committed for excellence. We'll come together and work and do everything we say we're going to be working as a team. We are working like the lion. We're the leader of the jungle, right? Something like that. It can be anything, because I know sometimes in a company you have that flexibility to choose your name and flexibility to write basically who we are, like, who are we, what are we doing, and sometimes you can also include like the product you are actually working for, like just summary, like the vision, the product, not in detail about the product, because why? The working agreement is about the team, not the product. If you need something about the product, that's like a whole different scenario, a different document you can create for that. So who we are is extremely important. So anyone that can come to our team to observe our team, or even go to our page, they can see the excitement from our working agreement. So that's why who we are is very nice to have. And everyone will have their own working agreements written differently, but there's some key important that we should have. I think who we are is one of them. So the next thing I have in my board is Scrum Values. And values and culture. Like in our case, we can have that in our team. We respect everyone. In our team, we're going to be focusing our goal. We're going to be committed, right? You all know that I'm listing all of this from the Scrum Values, right? I think a good working agreement will also have a Scrum value inside, where we all will basically will agree on these values. Because if we can follow this listed value, that's a high chance we're going to get to a high performing team. And it's like Lisa Adskin also have that in one of her high performing three, and she also included the Scrum values as the base of the root of the tree. So then eventually we're gonna grow up and have all this nice root. I also believe that for a Scrum team to be that successful, it would be nice if the team will also include and value all of these things in Scrum values. And we also not only writing about it, right, or just talking about it, but basically acting it, being it, right? So that's how we actually become it, evolving a good team. So the next thing I have is Scrum event and time. So I think it's also very important in your working agreements you also include all of the Scrum events like sprint planning, daily Scrum review, all of it. You have inside your inside your working agreement, and then you describe when do you want to have this, at what time. Also accounting for your team members that are outside the United States, or if you have distributed team all over the world. It's extremely important that you also address this time in your working agreement so that you all will come together and agree. And sometimes I know I've seen this in the past where our team will create a working time, and after 3 months or after a quarter we'll switch it just to ensure that we are accommodating everybody that's distributed all over. So I think it's also extremely important for you as a Scrum Master to facilitate this session to ensure that you also include everyone. The next thing I have is team rules, right? So sometimes we have rules about, like for example, when we start our daily Scrum meeting, after 2 minutes, if people didn't join, we start in our meeting automatically. We're giving everyone the 2 minutes late time. So after 3 minutes, we start in all our meeting. Or like if we don't have more than 5 people in our retrospective, we might have to change it for another day. That can be a rule a team can create. As trainings available for the whole week, we will hold virtual daily Scrum. I've also seen this thing in the past. So there can be different rules that your team can come together and agree on, and you adjust it in your working agreement. So this is something that will continue to be readjust and adjust as you all continue to work together as a team. So the next thing I have in my board is consequences. Another big one that I've noticed that sometimes people have all the nice things said in the working agreement, sounds nice, looks good and everything, but at the end, they forget the most important thing, which is consequences. By the way, I'd like to ask you all this quick question, right? Do you all have a working agreement? Are you part of a Scrum team that have a working agreement? Do you also include consequences in your working agreement? I'd like to see you all comment down below and let me know your own opinion, or what are other things you've had in your working agreement that worked for you all and that did not work for you all. I just want to really see something quick. By the way, if you're finding my content valuable, please like and subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate you. Yeah, so do you all have consequences? I think it's very important to include consequences, especially when it comes to like when a team will be assigned, when we start the sprints, right, for example, and we'll expect that everyone should assign themselves their tasks to update the board, their story, their tickets in the columns, right, as they're working on it. So what happens if a team member continue to not update their tasks on the board? What happened to that team member? So what are we going to be doing? Are we going to have them to basically move everybody else's tickets in the board for that particular sprint? So hopefully by the end of that sprint, they will remember to basically move their own tasks. Okay, what happened to team members that basically do not want to participate in estimation? What do we do? Do we call out their name? Do we basically text them, right? Or what do we do to ensure that people actually participate? What are other team building activities we want to include just to ensure that everyone is also part of the team? So there's different rules and consequences we can have in place. What if someone is late? We also had this thing one time is when someone is late, they'll basically sing a song for 5 minutes. So do you want to sing a song early morning in daily Scrum? So if not, then come to daily Scrum early in your meeting, you know. So little consequences like that can be very nice and can get the team held accountable for what we've already written in our working agreement. The last thing I have in my board here is definition of ready and definition of done. I've seen sometimes some team, they will add the definition of ready and definition of done in their working agreement. I think that's a good thing if the team would like to add it part of the list of their working agreement. If they also want to have it on the side in the different parts documented on Confluence, also fine. But before I end, there's something very important I would like to say about working agreements. If you are a new Scrum Master and you newly join a team and you notice that your team do not have a working agreement, do not start right away in the following week. Start implementing working agreement to this team. Because why? These team members will not participate. Because why? They don't know you. You just joined for a week. You didn't gain their trust. They won't basically see you as someone that actually truly do have the best interests for the team yet. So I always will coach Scrum Masters that it's best if you newly join the team to wait at least 2 months to get yourself familiar with the team, get yourself familiar with the company, familiar with the members and everyone in your team, build that connection with the team, and then you have your working agreements workshop. It's extremely important before you do that. So then when you do that workshop, it's going to be you all participating and coming together and brainstorm and say what you want to have in your working agreement. I think it's a very huge problem, right? When a Scrum Master will join a team and you are imposing these rules to these team members, saying that, oh, we must have this in our working agreement, or we must have our daily Scrum at 9 a.m. every morning. We must have our retrospective on this day, on the last day of the sprint. We must have it at this time. You shouldn't impose as a Scrum Master. You always should be work collaboratively with the team, and you all can come together and agree on a time. So I see it as an anti-pattern where a Scrum Master basically will go offline and create their own working agreement and present it to the team. That's not how you do a working agreement. When it comes to creating a working agreement, it should be like a workshop session, like a team building workshop session. Okay, it would be like a fun team building activities where you can bring up the working agreement where hopefully everyone in the team will participate in the creation of this important document that hopefully every quarter you'll continue to adjust and readjust your working agreement as more is learned. You don't just create a working agreement and keep it on Confluence, forget about it forever. That's not what a successful Agile team does. What you will do is after every quarter, it's very important for you to revisit that and see what you can add, what you can remove. And remember, the more you stay longer with the team, the more you learn about the team, the more you see what you can include that can help you improve as a team. I hope this content will be valuable to you all. If so, like and subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate you all. See you again in my next video. Thank you.